This is a live oak, southern live oak, new variety we're trying to introduce, and we've done nothing to it. We don't even water it. We fertilize every once, we just prune it up so people don't ding their heads on it. That's all we do.
Beautiful.
Super drought hardy. Okay, done with that one. Now we're down here.
Wow, I like that tree.
Honey locusts, as you can see, they always grow kind of crazy and leggy. That's just what they do. Like Ken said, first thing is deadwood. I think the next thing that I would do on this would go for major crossing limbs. Limbs that are rubbing on each other, that's going to open up room for infections and different diseases. Obviously, you got to take that with a grain of salt. You're not going to be able to get every single rubby limb, or you're not going to have any tree left. But just go for the major offenders. And then, like Ken said, the last part is shaping it. We can bring some of these big long ones in and just make it more of a more compact, smaller tree.
What kind of tree is that again?
Golden locust or honey locust. Pretty standard. All the new growth is yellow when it comes out. Has this real nice lacy, light filtered sun to it. Then the fall colors is golden color. It's a drought hardy, wind takes all of our wind, but with this, what I see, you see some of these branches going straight down to the cars. I'm going to cut those out. It shouldn't grow that way. And it's going to become a hazard if you got a big truck or something. If I scratch your $60,000 truck, I got to pay for that. I don't want that, so we'll cut that up, partly because it's commercial setting. And then you're seeing a bunch of branches just getting all gnarly together. We'll just take the weakest one and thin it out. And then we'll just bring it back some. And it probably won't take more than 30, 40 minutes to do all that with the right chainsaw. There's not a lot to it, so it's getting old enough where it can almost go by itself. Why don't we go to the Bradford pear over here? That's
Okay.
so. Let me tell them what it is. So this is a Bradford pear. You're going to notice here in another 3 weeks or so a tree that just turns bridal white. I mean, no leaves, all white. That's this tree. It's called a Bradford pear, or ornamental flowering pear. There's several of them. It's a really good tree. If you're down in the courthouse, there's some magnificent, huge, ancient ones. And then it's the last tree. It puts on a leaf about like this, nice green, glossy leaf. Good shade tree. And then it's one of the last trees that turn red in the fall of the year. So it's got a lot of different seasonality. Now we'll get the professional eye on it.
I think, once again, in a commercial setting, just kind of rolling back this side of the tree, making sure it's out of people's eyeball height, vehicle height. One of the biggest things I see with these trees is they have a very compact crown. They tend to be really dense in the middle. So coming in and thinning out some of these sprouts, while they're still small, it's always better to get them while they're small so you're not opening a big pruning wound. It'll be a lot easier for that to heal. Just by opening up that crown, just like any other tree, we're going to let more sunlight in, and we're going to let more air through the crown. But that's the main reason why people plant these as street trees is they have a very tight crown and they can take that type of pruning very well.
Graham, when you're cutting those small little branches, you do that just for the pruning shears, or do you get involved with the cuts?
When they're that small, you can just come in and pretty much cut them flush. Like Ken was saying, that's going to keep them from growing back. A lot of these are just nodes underneath the bark, like those epiformic sprouts. If you go a little more flush, you can actually kill that node off and keep it from coming back, or at least as fast.
Yeah, that 3-step pruning cut, that's mainly for big, heavy limbs.
Yeah.
All you're trying to do is take the weight off. So you can make the last cut, which is basically hold it with your hand and make the last cut without damaging the tree. These smaller inside cuts, what I see with this, probably most of the work will be done with hand shears. You're just opening up so the inside, growing to the inside. Classic fruit tree. This is an ornamental pear. It doesn't put fruit on, but any pear, it's kind of the same way. Apples, apricots, nectarines, plums, they're all the same. Take those inside growing branches. The question I'm really going to have is, do I do it before it blooms or after? Probably I'm going to let it bloom so I can sell a whole lot of Bradford pears, because when it's in bloom, it's like, what is that? I want one. I'll probably let it bloom. Then I'll go in and then trim it after it's already starting to leaf. And that's a good way to do that with spring, anything spring blooming. Enjoy it first, then trim it, and it'll be fine. Okay.
Would you take out that one? In other words, if you look going straight up that in the main, up one more.
This one?
That little one. Would you take that one out?
Probably. What do you think, Grant? This one right here, do you cut it right here?
I think eventually it would be good to have it go away. If you guys can see from this side, it's got that big seam of included bark. Eventually that thing's gonna get a lot bigger. If that tears out, it's gonna demolish your tree. It's never gonna be the same. One thing you can think about is doing it over a few seasons. We don't have to do everything at once. You can take 30% of it, 40% of it, 50% of it, slow that down, let the rest of the tree kind of react before you take it all the way back.
Me, I can't stop. I'd cut it right off. Because it is going to eventually get large. 2 trunks are going to come up, and eventually a snow load's going to get on it in the fall, probably when it's in color. It's going to split in 2.
And it opens up the center.
Correct. Yeah. There's no right or wrong on that.
Can't fix it.
But yeah, probably. I actually didn't notice the seam. Grant brings up a really good point. That is a weak link. Look for those. You might take a close look afterwards. Just take a close look at that. But you won't see this prune until after it gets done blooming. It's just the most beautiful tree. I'll wait till it blossoms and then I'll do it. Same with the lilacs, forsythias, all crab apples, all those spring bloomers.
Now you say these make a compact crown, but I see like you have like 3 or 4 millimeters up there, and they all do have a real cluster of
Yeah.
branches on the top. Do you want to trim those out on a regular basis?
You can tell this tree has had some attention over the years. If you look at a lot of the other ones in town that aren't maintained, they're going to be a lot more dense. You know, and on a Bradford pear, it's pretty typical to see them pretty dense. We don't want to over prune, but yeah.
I don't prune the ends very much, mainly because it's hard to get up there, and it'll correct itself. If I'm taking these inside crossing branches, I'll generally take some of those out just to expose it open. But as I do that, I'll take a look and I'll go, yeah, maybe I do need to do it. It'll kind of call to you as you get into it. The main thing I see is I think I'm going to take this branch off this year because it's going to keep growing out this way and intrude on the parking lot. And again, we have expensive cars here, we don't want to damage those. So I'll probably just open it up and try to. Now the question is, do I take this one off too? Do I take it off this year? Maybe next year I'll take this one off. And I may or may not take this one out. I don't know. So you'll know in about April. You'll come in and see it. So you'll know what to do. Okay. Don't be too crazy. Those are really small branches. Did you notice the hummingbird are taking advantage of that small, tight? They're taking advantage of it. We have a lot of hummingbirds here. It's like hummingbird heaven. Russian orchid or chitalpa. You want to talk about that? It's another aggressive desert grower.
Quick growing tree. Once again, looking for defects like this, that's our included bark again. Really narrow branch attachment, just like your pointer finger and your thumb. You can see how far that seam goes down. These are a fairly brittle tree. They tend to break apart, especially as they get older. One thing we can do to help prevent that, well, the best thing to do would have been remove this branch when it was that big around. But now that it's become older, we can bring the tips of this branch in, make it smaller, take some of that weight off, and not only is it going to relieve some of that stress on that junction, but it's also going to slow that branch down and keep it from growing as fast. The other things that I'm seeing are just a proliferation of sprouts, thinning it out a little bit, and really that's
like this sprout right here. This thing growing straight up into the air. Now it's starting to compete with the upper branch. Probably thin that out. Some of these sprouts coming out, you can see it coming down, and then growing. Now it's creating another layer down below the main canopy. Probably take this one out. Some of these lower ones coming down here. Just putting it back so it doesn't compete with the next tree. So we'll probably bring some of these back to maybe right here or so. I'll just take that branch out just so it doesn't compete with this Bradford pear. So eventually this is a very short-lived tree, 10 years, it's got to be gone. So we keep these in the ground way too long. And again, like Grant said, they're very brittle. And so they're prone to wind damage. Yet they're very, very popular up Prescott Valley and the valley areas. I think maybe we need to replace these more often. As soon as they stop blooming for you, it'll tell you when it's getting old because it'll start getting more dead wood. It won't bloom like it was. It's all indication of it's ending its lifespan in your yard. It might live for another 10 years. That may not mean you want it in your yard for 10 more years. Again, it's not a puppy dog. It's a tree that can be replaced easily for $100. I have a new one that'll take me for another 10, 15 years. The personal question I have for Grant, I got this broom here, and then we were debating amongst all of the horticulturalists here, how do I prune this thing? It's starting to compete with the yucca, which is healthy, it's starting to get too big. Can you prune these? We tried.
We could take hedges to them and give them a little bit of a haircut. But like Ken was saying, removal and replacement. You know, once we start getting much further down than what we can hedge, you're just going to be left with a bunch of sticks.
Yeah.
And it's not going to look nice. To get it down to a manageable size, you're going to be left with an ugly plant. So my honest opinion would be take it out and plant it with something new and smaller. That's going to be a lot more manageable, and it'll be less maintenance and less work for you.
So I had the whole team out here, and here's what we actually decided. We prune it up a little bit. Keep it kind of finessed. I mean, we need nice looking plants here in the land. It's a garden center. You're coming to be inspired. So Paul Aries, one of my plant gurus, he said, Ken, why don't we leave it in the ground and let it bloom this spring? And then we're going to put a chain around it and pull it out of the ground. That's what we're going to do. So there'll be a new plant here because it's just getting that mangy, overgrown. You should not have that in your landscape. And it's perfectly vibrant and alive, but only for a few more weeks. And I think it's okay to do that. Some of you gardeners, that's really offensive to you, but for me, I'm going, it's run its life. Everyone has been Googling over it, going, oh, this is so nice. Fragrant flowers, it's a great plant, drought hardy. But because of the rain harvest in the parking lot, all the rain comes here, these trees go nuts. And so they're growing it's a Spanish, or it's a, not Spanish, Scotch broom. It's a broom, B-R-O-O-M. We sell a lot of them. Pretty yellow flowers. Let's see.
So how did you pull something like that up? Like put a chain? You just said put a chain around it?
I've got a pickup truck with a ball, and I've got a chain on the forklift, and it'll come out of the ground like that. Or my bumper will come off. Oh, you might be able to. Ah. Yeah, if you all will do the labor and it doesn't cost me anything. I'm having employees do this at $15-20 an hour. I'd rather have you all do it for free. Probably not. They probably won't transplant. Maybe if you cut it way back and cut some of the foliage off, yeah, you'd have to really cut the foliage down. Quite honestly, by the time you got done with that, it'd be nothing but twigs. When you look inside, it's very twiggy. For $19.99, you can have a brand new fresh one that would take 3 years to recover. Yeah.
When you have to pull out a big shrub like this, or like pampas grass, do you have to trench it before you do the chain and yank?
So I nearly killed one of my children at our house right now because I put a chain around it. I didn't put a chain. Don't use rope. That's the advice. I used rope, tie strap, because I didn't have a chain at the house. Put it to the bumper of my Escalade, and I pulled it, and it leaped out of the ground between my two kids that were watching this. So this rose bush is now flying through the air and over the hood and to the other side of the driveway. Whereas a chain doesn't have give; it just kind of slowly pulls it out. So I don't think I'll have to root prune this one. My rose, I finally did. A rose has a root that goes down to China. I don't know why. They're hard to get out of the ground. Most things are not like that, so it just depends. I'll try it because I'm lazy. Just put it on and go. And then if it won't come out of the ground, I'll start root pruning. But I don't like work just for work's sake. I'll just try to pull out. My guess is it'll peel right out of the ground, and you will see hardly any roots on this thing. I'll bet it's got surface roots like this, that are barely under the ground because there's so much water coming off this parking lot and watering this plant. I'll bet that the roots are very shallow, trying to breathe, basically. Is what I'd put money on it. I'd gamble on that one. So anyway, we got to cover one more, maybe a pampas grass if that's of interest, but we got to cover butterfly bush, right? It's like, how far do you go? And pampas will show you what we did with ours. We're kind of famous, Front Landscape's famous for pampas grass. In the fall, they're spectacular. I've got a butterfly bush right over here. Go. And my thought, Grant, is just whack on them. You can't kill them.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So is that where I'm going? Okay. So this butterfly bush was way over my head. It's a big purple butterfly bush. Starting to leaf out now. But again, these butterfly bush, they're weeds. I mean, again, nuclear holocaust, only be ants, maybe butterfly bush would be left. They take over. They go up into your eaves very easily. It's important to plant the right size butterfly bush out in your yard. This one happens to be a big one. It's a commercial setting, it's got space, too large. We also sell dwarf ones. They only get this big. We sell ground cover varieties, they only get this big. They just spread like this. Same flower, but they've been bred to grow at certain heights. Plant the right one in the right place. This one we don't want to get too large or they start to get deadwood. They die out in the middle. So we can increase the longevity of the lifespan of this by proper pruning techniques. And then we wanted to just get it down to where it's tolerable size before it takes over. And so we just went and we just whacked it back and cut all the deadwood out of the middle. Lots of branches in the middle, and Paul kind of pruned this one for me. I think he did a good job. I probably would have taken this one off too, but then you're into opinion. You're into the gardener's eye. There's no right or wrong. With butterfly bush especially, you can't kill them. So you can fertilize the base, put the all-purpose plant food on this, and it will grow its way out of any mistake you ever thought you made. Butterfly bush is that aggressive. I do find with my own this is my own personal gardening experience, these guys don't like to die, but they'll stop blooming on you. So pull them out of the ground when they stop being that beautiful rock star. This thing should be incredible summer through fall. Unbelievable. Butterfly should be all over it. When it gets through its lifespan where it stops doing that, rip it out of the ground. It no longer deserves to be in your landscape. Fairly short-lived plant. I would say 8-10 years, it should come out of the ground because they just stop blooming. Even with great pruning techniques, they just have an age where they just stop doing their thing. It's personal experience, mainly with the big ones. I don't know about the smaller ones, are fairly new introductions. I don't know how many years they'll go. My thought is the smaller ones, you get more years out of them because they just don't grow. They don't. I think they choke themselves out sometimes. No science, just experience over the decades. What I found with my own butterfly bush. Grant, anything else you want to?
That's exactly right. I think just cut it back to where it's a manageable size, so when this thing does blow up in the summertime, you can actually reach it and maintain it. If it's up here, you're going to be standing on top of ladders, and it makes life a lot more difficult.
And you can enjoy the flowers better because this thing's going to grow like this, then it's going to bloom. When it's growing like this, the flowers are up here at the 10-foot level. You just can't enjoy it as much. So here we're going to push another 2 feet of growth, and flowers are right there for us to enjoy and see the butterflies. It really does bring in the butterfly bush. Questions on butter? Do we cover it? Just hedge and then get the deadwood out and crossing branches. That's all we did with this.
So you don't lose a season of blooms by doing a hard cut like that?
Not with butterfly bush. Butterfly bush, you can't keep it back if it's healthy. If it's getting a little aged, and I predict here we're going to get a little less age out of them because they grow so fast with all the water coming off this parking lot. The things just grow so fast, and so that means they're going to flame out. They're just going to flame out on us, which is great. I get to have fabulous landscapes for a few years, and I have 2 acres worth of plants. I can replace it. It's easy to replace a plant. Pampas grass, should we go there? And we can go coral forest. There's several grasses over here. So it's how do you trim with hand pruners? What angle do you use? That handout that will be to you probably in a couple days will have that exact picture. We go incorrect, correct, incorrect too much this way, and the correct cut. So it will have exactly. But in a nutshell, for the hands-on, if you see a bud, let's say there's a bud right, you see this bud right there?
Oops, sorry.
You're cutting just above the bud at a 45-degree angle. That's how you do it. And we'll have that handout, we'll have that exact cut for you. In most plants, you're going to see a bud. That's a leaf bud. This is autumn blaze maple. And that's how you cut it. Maybe we should be on that side for this pampas grass. Just while we're answering that bud question, I want to get that for you. Oh yeah, it's better than shade. No, it's got roses need at least 6 hours of sun. And we just got roses in yesterday. They're not unboxed yet. They're fully rooted, and it's all the new varieties. So, and then another insider tip, since I have a group of gardeners, I think the second week in April, we'll look at the weather, kind of decide when to bring them in. We'll have, I think, 700 roses hit, all in full bloom, all of them. I mean, the entire front parking lot will be very exciting, nothing but roses. So we're kind of famous for our roses. Well, we wait until after the snow is done, and you can't bring them in too early. Right now, it's all the dormant roses, and so it's all the newest varieties. That's where you get the pick of the newest things. Okay, pampas grass. These things are up here, and it's a dwarf pampas grass. It's up here. That's dwarf for pampas grass. Okay, if you don't cut back pampas grass, what you'll be left with are dead brown blades. And so I don't like, personally, the green and the brown. Growing up, I want just vibrant new green. So every year we cut this sucker back to here, about knee high.
When do you do it?
We just did it last week. So after the new year, but before the end of March, somewhere in there. It's a huge window. We cut it back. We took shears to it, electric shears, and we just went, whoa, took about, I don't know, 90 seconds, and that was done. Now, the pampas grass did die out in the center. The pampas grass are famous for dying out in the center. So you'll see the whole center section's died. We reached down and tried to pull out some of that dead matted material as best we could, but eventually, hey Bailey, what you doing? So watch the dog. Eventually, there'll be nothing but a half moon shape on this pampas grass. As soon as it starts to make me look bad in your eyes, it will have, I'll put the crew out here and dig that sucker out and put a new one in. So, but for now, I think it's hiding it right here. The rock back here, I don't think you're gonna see it. I think I can get another year, maybe 2 years. I'll try to get out of this one. This one I'll probably get another 3 or 4 years out of it. But 10 years for a pampas grass, that's all you're gonna get. Then they start dying in the center, and then, yeah, thank you.
It's called fertilizer.
Scotties, if you're a gardener, Scotties are the best dog ever because they truly admire a hole. They love to dig, and if you're digging, they're right there going, oh, I'm so proud of you. I love how you use that shovel. They just love watching you dig a hole. So question in the back.
So big old pampas grass, it's already shooting up the new green. Is it too late? Can I
No,
still
cut
shear
it. Yeah, cut it. Don't let that new green bring you down with all the dead stuff. Cut all that dead stuff back. Again, if you fertilize it with the all-purpose plant food, it'll grow its way out of any mistake. Also, if you didn't get beautiful plumes on it, I mean magnificent, you're not fertilizing enough. These guys tend to be heavy feeders. So these, all I do is I'll put the all-purpose plant food on 3 times a year, and then they start blooming September through, they had plumes on them last week. They were gorgeous. Almost hated to cut them back, but it was time, it's time. And I had a pruning class, so I could have done it next month, but I'd rather do it now and show you how to properly prune pampas grass, okay? Yeah.
Does pampas tend to reseed, self-seed?
Pampas, I noticed the bigger ones can reseed. The dwarf varieties tend to have a sterile seed,
Oh, okay.
so you don't see them coming up in the yard.
Okay.
You don't see pampas grass. It's an anomaly to see a pampas grass.
So it'll
someplace.
tend to just be in
Stay
an
right
area.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had no seedlings come up, but again, this is a dwarf. This is ivory feathers. I picked this one for this landscape because it's dwarf. It has the same size plume. Because I don't want a 12-foot monster here. I want a 6-foot monster.
In California, along the coast, they just kind of.
Well, that's where they naturally grow.
Yeah. They
So
just
there
go
they'll
crazy.
seed like crazy, and that's the standard big size.
Okay.
Here we don't tend to have that. Here, our offender, I think, is Russian sage.
Oh, okay.
It tends to reseed and sucker.
Okay.
It's a pain. So, but we leave it in the ground too long.
Are there better months to fertilize than other months?
Okay, so better months to fertilize than others. I would say pick your holidays. This year's a little bit different because Easter's in April, I think. Is that right? I think so.
Yeah.
Generally, we fertilize in March. I would go holiday, Easter, 4th of July, and Halloween. So spring, sometime in March, you'll know because the forsythia will be in bloom, the daffodils will be in bloom. Whenever you see that, put it on. And it's the all-purpose plant food. It's when we make for here. Monsoons start about Independence Day, 4th of July. The rains are coming sometime. If you can fertilize right before the rains come, you can get the most glorious Rosa Sharons, crepe myrtles, another set of growth on your trees. It's a magical fertilization at that point. The most important feeding of the year, par none, October. Because it brings out the color. The plants are using the fertilizer then to store it up in the root structure, and it's using the food right now that we fertilize back in fall. It's using that food to set the buds right now. This is a hard one for you folks from the Midwest, where you actually have soil. Buddy of mine, he's got a garden center in Wisconsin. Oh, you know, we got 8-foot topsoil. We have 8 millimeters of topsoil, if that. And so that's before they put the house in, scraped it all off with a backhoe. So we just don't have soil. So what you'll find is your plants need to be fertilized more often. And I think it's a case for organics or natural foods. Synthetics break down very quickly. Now I'm getting on my soapbox a little bit, but synthetic fertilizer, your Scott's turf builder, that kind of stuff, releases so quick that it's gone. Within 4 weeks, it's gone, if not sooner. We need organics to release over a 3-4 month period of time. That's the beauty of organics. Plus, my other real pet peeve, we're all drinking groundwater. I don't want you putting on 100 pounds of turf builder and then it all gets picked up and washed down so we're drinking it later in the groundwater. Organics don't do that. They stay around longer so the plants have time to pick it up and they break down more naturally. Anyway, I can go on and on and on about organics. Use the all-purpose plant food in a nutshell. Okay.
Does your fertilizer do good for the trees as well?
Yeah, it's an all-purpose. It's one I put together years ago with a few friends. It's cottonseed meal, which brings out the blooms. It's bird guano, because you got to poop and stuff if it's organic. It's got iron and sulfur. It's kind of got an earthy smell to it. How many have used it before? Okay, does it work?
Yeah.
It works? It works good. I mean, it really works. And you don't have to do it as often. But mainly, it's natural, so it's healthier for us, your pets, birds. And then it releases over a very long period of time.
So your schedule is for trees and everything those 3 times.
Same time. Yep. Everything. All purpose, one food. Food is a game. I used to sell like a dozen different foods. I had geranium food and fruit tree food and evergreen food. You know the reason they package that way? So you'll buy more food. That's the only reason. Food is food. Yeah, you might need a little more phosphorus for things that bloom, or nitrogen for things for grass. Basically, get a good balanced food and be consistent. That's what you need. And I like to think you use the water as all-purpose plant food because we did make it for here. It's actually made to work with our water and our soil. Okay, and it does work. It really
Yeah,
does
with our
work.
heavy clay down there, I think that sometimes we need a little nitrogen, something in it.
Oh, you little clay, you've got nothing in your soil. None of us.
Trying to be nice to everybody else that lives down
You got
there.
nothing in your soil. It's terrible. Oh, it's embarrassing
Yeah,
how
it
little
is.
nutrients we have in our soil.
Yeah.
And then that backhoe comes in and scrapes off everything that was viable.
Put the bad stuff back in.
Yeah, and then they trench out the a lot of you are dealing with dead soil. You got it's not living. There's not worms aren't even in your soil. Nothing's in your soil. You put a plant in there and 3 years later it's the same size. That's why. It's not happy. It's not growing. It's just sitting there going. Plants need a living, vibrant soil to grow in. With that, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I'll kind of hang further questions. I think we could go all day, but I'm losing my voice. Thank you.
Thank you.